Hello everyone, I'm Esmeralda Diaz-Cameron, and today Newark's TV 78 is at NJIT, where Mayor Cory Booker joined with dignitaries to cut the ribbon for CGC Genetics Inc., a Portuguese-based company which is opening its United States headquarters right here in the city of Newark.
And we're very proud of that tradition and the continuing trend. And the host for this facility, the EDC facility, and its brothers and sisters among facilities, is NJIT. The governing entity for University Science Park here in Newark, the complex that this building is part of, the chair of the board of that organization is Bob Altenkirk, the president of NJIT. He had to step out to catch an important flight, but I want to express gratitude to him for his ongoing efforts, not only here leading the University Science Park efforts, but also in creating what he calls the Gateway Plan, which is a community revitalization plan that goes beyond the walls of the campus, beyond the bounds of NJIT, and much more to be said about that going forward. One of the key players in NJIT for all these matters is Don Sebastian, who's a vice president for research and development and oversees this complex. I want to introduce Don Sebastian. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's a wonderful day for NJIT. It's a wonderful day for Newark. It's a wonderful day for New Jersey. On behalf of our president, Bob Altenkirk, let me repeat the words of welcome. As Stefan mentioned, Bob was here this morning but had a flight to catch, and we didn't quite get underway in time for him to give his prepared remarks. But I'm going to give a slightly different version of his prepared remarks because I haven't had time to study them. There are many who say, we can't start businesses in New Jersey. Bunk. There are many who say, business won't come to Newark. I say bunk. There are many who say that universities are only operating out of self-interest and can't contribute to economic development. I say bunk. It's 3 strikes, they're all out. Today, what we see is yet another example of the positive influence of the city, state, the universities pulling together to attract businesses with things that are important to business. It's not just discounted space. It's access to university facilities, in fact, to a university collaboration, because this began with Peter Tolius, who came here as an adventurer from New York with the Public Health Research Institute, settled in the beautiful facilities next door, went out for a short time in the world of work, like we don't work in our side of the street, came back to UMD and was instrumental. His technology, his focus was instrumental in bringing this company here. Their assets, the university assets, our investment in creating support structure to build new businesses is really at the mainstay of what makes this operation tick here and what we think is an important ingredient to the revitalization of not just Newark's economy, but of New Jersey's economy. That sign in Trenton, we still see it. Trenton makes, the world takes. We got to get back to the business of making the things that the world wants. And this is a perfect example of the marriage of high tech and ultimately connections into the production sector with all the job leveraging that comes from those investments. EDC is perhaps still a well-kept secret. I came here 15 years ago. We had, I think, just opened our second incubator facility right around the corner on Locke Street. I came here because I love the passion of the school for contributing to economic development. It was not standard practice 15 years ago for universities to be talking about that, but we already had it stated as a core mission element. And it's not just about taking our laboratory inventions and piping them over here as startups. That's very exciting, but we have 90, what's the number, Judy? 95 companies now connected to our incubator. They are as much spin-ins as they are spin-outs. The academic people who flock here. Judy Sheft, my Associate VP for Technology Development, who's really responsible for this. I just stand up and say nice words. Jerry Creighton, who manages the facility, have been very clever in developing additional suites of services that expand the mission of the incubator beyond discounted space and maybe access to pools of professionals. And one of those very important services is the soft landing program. I know that prior to this, we've tried on a number of occasions to create an environment where foreign companies might find Newark and the Science Park region an exciting place to come to begin to set up domestic operations. It's always been a little tough to get it off the ground. Well, here we have living proof, in fact, that with the right people and the right elbow grease, it can in fact happen. And this is, I think, a wonderful launching point for what will be another expansion of services and capabilities here in Science Park. There are others who will speak with respect to university cooperation, but I think since so many believe that that's an oxymoron, perhaps anywhere, but certainly in New Jersey, that we don't get along with each other, we can't work with each other, it's not true. And this is a wonderful example of the ongoing collaborations between UMD and NJIT, and while not involved in this particular one, Rutgers Newark and the Essex County College, which are in fact the core of what Stefan referred to as the Chen organization. Lastly, a little factoid. Our first incubator was down on Martin Luther King Boulevard, 140 MLK, EDC1. We've taken that out of service, not because we don't need space for our incubators, but as the Deputy Mayor mentioned, because we are committed to extending the community development activity beyond the technology development that we do here in the incubator. Science Park is an ambition for building a source of employment, good jobs, high-paying jobs at all levels, from entry to advanced professional. But when those people work here, we also want them to live here. And so the Gateway project is an exciting opportunity to do community redevelopment, to create residential support services, professional services, commercial support, so that we really use the little ember here and fan it into a flame for regional, local, and regional economic development. That's our commitment. We're glad to see you all here today. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor, of course, Mayor. And of course, without the company that's made this possible, we wouldn't have a day at all. Thank you all, and let me pass the mic back to Steph.
Thank you. I want to recognize some of the important players who have made this transaction possible. I want to recognize first Pedro Bello. Pedro Bello is in the back row, but he's front and center on helping to make this happen. Pedro, along with Councilman Amador, organized our initial trade missions and our initial conversations with businesses in his capacity as then president of Millennium BCP Bank for the United States, based in Newark, and continues as a BCDC board member and in fact our audit and finance chairman. Thank you, sir, and has been instrumental. Tony Seabra is here today. And I want to thank Tony for his undying commitment to building a Portuguese-American business community here in Newark, a stalwart supporter of all of our efforts, and we're deeply grateful that you would attend in recognizing the precedent that this sets. I want to thank Kim Pereira, representing Assemblyman Coutinho, who he and Kim have been likewise active participants in our overall efforts, and we're grateful. I want to thank someone who's very important and standing in the back modestly, Irene Crespo, whose eyes light up with a bit of surprise that I would reference her. But Irene Crespo is the point person at the EDA on the Portuguese business attraction efforts and 1,000 other responsibilities, but is one of the unheralded heroes of EDA who really makes it happen every single day. We have an incredibly close working relationship with the state's Economic Development Authority, and Irene helped to make this connection possible, helped in the facilitation and business attraction process, and we're grateful. And then finally, one last introduction in this round is for Ryan Johnson. And Ryan Johnson is raising his hand in the back. Ryan Johnson was the point person at Brick City Development Corporation, the economic development corporation that Mayor Booker founded, and that was built from scratch to help aid in this kind of endeavor. And Ryan Johnson is responsible for everything from grant and finance management through to business attraction under special scenarios, and did this one beautifully. Okay, so now really to the person who we're all deeply grateful to, Dr. Tavares. We are amazed by the energy that Dr. Tavares has exercised across the ocean, across the phone lines, from our very first meeting in making this possible with untiring effort. And to you, we say, if you'll permit me, Bem-vindo à cidade de Newark. Welcome to Newark, Dr. Tavares.
Honorable Mayor Cory Booker, Honorable Ambassador of Portugal, João Valera, Honorable Consul General of Portugal in Newark, Mrs. Amelia Paiva, Honorable Dean of the UMDNJ Medical School, Dr. Robert Johnson, Honorable President of the NGIT, Mr. Robert Alcanturk, Mr. Deputy Mayor, Stephen Pryor, Mr. Luis Amador, distinguished guests, dear friends. Your presence today in this special circumstance is an honor and an incentive, and we are very grateful deeply to each one of you. So let me talk about the company and what is CGC and genetics, so that you can talk about us wherever you go to all of the other places. So it happens that right now we have placed a company in Portugal, which is our mother company, a company in Spain, and a company in the US, and we will explain what is the strategy and which is our ambitious goal. So about us, we are the first private medical genetics laboratory in Portugal. We are around for 18 years, and we want to provide the healthcare community with the most advanced and diagnostic tools in medical genetics. And we continue every day to increase the quality of our services, to reduce the turnaround time, and to develop our new diagnostic testing. You can see some pictures of the labs out there. So we have several responsibilities because we were first in the country for many things. And of course, with all the consequences that may have locally. But we were the first private medical genetics laboratory, the first prenatal screening laboratory, the first private fetal pathology laboratory, and the first laboratory in Portugal to have the ISO 9001, the first one to have the CLIA certificate, and the first one also to have a certification on R&D. Now in Europe, we are seen like one of the major players in Europe. We are 70-something people in the main lab, and plus the other companies. And we have very prestigious institutions as clients, and as well as in America. So in America, we have the CLIA certificate and the license for the state of California. We are reference lab for a rare disease syndrome, Alström syndrome, and some other rare disorders. And we have here examples of customer and partner institutions in the USA and Canada. So this is from Portugal. And we decided that the strategy of receiving samples was passive in Portugal. So we thought that if we were proactive in other places, we would have more visibility. And that's how we decided to have companies in Madrid on the right and on the left, which is the best building. The best building is in Newark from the other ones, if you can tell. So now what we do, we have several laboratories and areas of laboratories. We have a list of tests of 1,500 genetic tests in our menu. And last year we did approximately 65,000 genetic tests. Now we have all different methods for genetic diagnosis. And we provide tests for all specialties. So we have really a lot to grow because we have to tell all these colleagues and physicians of what genetics also can bring as an early diagnostic tool. We do live in amazing times. Genetics is changing the way we look at disease. And we place the tonic in health, which is early diagnostics and prevention. And as medical geneticists, we want to be part of this change because this is really to change the way medicine is performed. And our part is to develop new diagnostic tests that will make a difference and will be benefit to all of us. So the sample collection is easy. These are several international clients that, again, passively, we receive samples from all over the world, but these are some of them. And we can receive in the same day from Australia to Japan to Saudi Arabia. It's fantastic. It's it's very wonderful to have all these clients spread out in the globe. We have very good quality assessment, external quality assessments, schemes that we enroll. So this is the guarantee, internal guarantee of our quality and external guarantee of our quality. And with this, we are the only lab that has all this together. So this is very impressive. We also have developed new diagnostic approaches, because so far, when a physician has an hypothesis of a disease and asks for a test, sometimes is not accurate and asks for a wrong test, and it's a lot of waste in a times where waste absolutely is unthinkable. There is a waste because he can commit an error, and so we have developed what we call the arrays CGC, where we put the disease he asks, all the differential diagnosis and some mistakes he can make, and then we have more chance of really detecting what the patient has, because that's what matters. And this now has been extremely popular, and it's growing immensely all over, because you can have the answer in 2 or 3 weeks. We have several arrays and for very different areas. Now, here in New Jersey, here in Newark, we have a contractual agreement with the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey Medical School, which establishes, under the direction of Dr. Peter Tolias, as a CGC contract, our clinical laboratory in the USA to perform part of the tests that we need for this. And usually that's my presentation, because I'm asked to do many presentations, in many countries, and this is the usual. So I end up here. Sometimes, of course, you understand, it's more elaborate technically. I cut all the slides that are too technical. And then I ask questions in the audience. Any question? Then I'll tell you what is the most frequent.
You're the reason we're here. I want to recognize a couple of other people who make all of our Portuguese enterprises and efforts possible. Jose Manuel Colia, who is the CEO of TAP Airlines, has been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you to you. The other partner that Dr. Tavares referenced, and it's a very profoundly important partnership, is UMDNJ. And UMDNJ was one of the first introductions that we're proud to have helped to make possible. And we're so pleased that the University of Medicine and Dentistry is truly contractually now in a relationship with this enterprise and is going to make it succeed. We have the Dean of UMDNJ Medical School, Dr. Robert Johnson, here today, and I invite him forward.
Well, thank you very much. A couple of corrections. I'm the Dean of New Jersey Medical School, and New Jersey Medical School is one part of UMDNJ. You probably know that UMDNJ is the country's largest health science university and as a major center for biomedical research. New Jersey Medical School is one part of that, and part of that here in Newark, and is one of the leading sources of health care for people, the citizens of Newark. I've been in Newark for 41 years, all part of UMDNJ, and I'm not going to attempt to begin to say anything in Portuguese. So please forgive me. As a dean of a medical school, you are focused on three very important things. One of the things that you do is you teach. At New Jersey Medical School, we produce physicians. At UMDNJ, we produce every specialty or area of health science, except pharmacy. Throughout the state, and we are the largest producer of those individuals in the country. We also provide health care, and I mentioned already that we have a major health science or health care providing entity at University Hospital, just a few blocks from here. It is a major and outstanding trauma center, and it is one of the primary sources of health care for the people of the city of Newark. And I have about 800 physicians who work here in the city of Newark and all work for me at New Jersey Medical School. The other thing that you do as a health science university is you innovate. You do research. And although UMD&J, New Jersey Medical School, are well known as places people come to learn and places people come for healthcare, our research part is sort of hidden in those 65 acres that exist a little bit west of here. Now, I'm very proud of that. We have, among our 1,200 faculty, 400 individuals who make their life by doing research. Those 400 individuals in this year brought in 195 research grants. The research dollar so far this year, this is a federal fiscal year, is $76 million. And that does not include 2 grants that we announced last week. One, a very competitive federal stimulus grant for $15 million to renovate our research facilities, and another $15 million to do research on HIV vaccines right next door here at PHRI. So this is a very important thing for us. Now, if you're successful, what you hope to do is you hope that your research translates into care for people. Always that's your goal. And this affiliation with CGC does exactly that. Among our research enterprises, one of the things we do is we have research cores. And the Institute for Genomic Medicine is one of those research cores where all of these activities involving genetics goes on. And Peter Tolias and Marvin Schwab have been very instrumental in making sure that we move from just research into actual care for people, and through this affiliation will be care for people all over the world. So we are very happy that you, Mayor, and you, Mr. Dr. Tavares, have gotten together and are bringing this to Newark, because I truly believe that Newark is, in fact, Newark is the Center for Biomedical Research in the state of New Jersey, and one of the country's leading centers for biomedical research. And I'm very proud that you have helped us to go from the research end, translate it into the healthcare end, and that will then take us up to the next level. Thank you all very much for being here, and thank you very much for including us as part of this.
CGC Genetics is not the only Portuguese operation based in Newark, New Jersey. We're very proud of the fact that the Consul General's office is based in Newark, and the Portuguese Consul General, newly arrived, Maria Emilia Paiva, has been absolutely terrific to work with already, and has helped us to continue our efforts along these lines, and we're deeply grateful. And another partner that we have, and we're deeply honored for his presence, is the Portuguese ambassador. Mr. Ambassador, you have been to Newark countless times. All of us have seen you at numerous events around the Portuguese community, and you've been contributing as a citizen of our city. And we are deeply grateful that in the midst of your international duties and your duties here in the United States, with your tremendous track record and history, you have seen fit to spend so much time in our city of Newark. I know the mayor is grateful, so I bring to you João de Valera, the Portuguese ambassador to the United States, with great honor. Thank you.
I can tell you it certainly is a pleasure. It's countless times I've been in Newark, and it's always a pleasure to come back, I can tell you. And I had no hesitation when I had an invitation to be in this event today. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor, Madam Consul General, Professor Purificação Tavares, I would like to say that I feel very honored and pleased to participate in this very significant event, the official opening of the expansion to the United States of another Portuguese company, inserted as actually Newark and New Jersey are in the now solid trend of Portuguese investment in the United States of America. One of the most significant and promising recent developments that brings, in my opinion, a real new qualitative dimension to the Portuguese-American relations. I would just give you, among many examples, I would just like to mention to you that in just 2.5 years, the biggest Portuguese electrical company, EDP, became the 3rd biggest producer of wind energy in this country. And that on the 19th of this month, I'll be traveling a bit further south for the opening of production unit of big transformers, another Portuguese company establishing in this country, creating jobs and contributing to the renewal of the electrical grid in the United States of America. But today, I am, as I said, indeed very pleased to see that CGC Genetics and Newark again are part of this process. And so I would congratulate Professor Purificação Tavares for her new office in Newark and to express my best wishes of success in this new venture. The support they received from your office, Mr. Mayor, from Stephen Pryor and from several departments in City Hall was critical in the decision to establish the company's new office in this town. And I should also commend the whole city of Newark and, of course, its large Portuguese community for having contributed to attract CGC. I'm not going to repeat what has been said about CGC Genetics. I would be repeating what Professor Tavares said much better than I do. But I would like to say that their presence here and their affiliation agreement with Institute of Genomic Medicine, component of New Jersey Medical School, are indeed new and very significant steps in the process of internationalization of this still new company, but which has gone so far and grew so fast. CGC Genetics will also contribute to the creation of job opportunities in Newark. And I think this has not yet been said, so I will say it myself. And actually it has already hired some of their staff members from Newark Works, the job creation program of the city of Newark. With this new investment, CGC Genetics joined also the many Portuguese companies that in the last years decided to invest in New Jersey, from the pharmaceutical to the software and communications area. We have several very successful examples of Portuguese companies operating in this state. These companies, on the other hand, joined the many Portuguese-American businessmen and women, owners of small, medium, and big enterprises in all different fields of activity that are established here in Newark, as in many other locations in the state. They are a very active group of entrepreneurs that contribute to the maintenance and to the creation of new jobs, to development and prosperity not only of the New Jersey economy, but also to the social and cultural life of the Garden State. And I would also add, they play a very important role in the development of the Portuguese-American bilateral relations. The deepening of ties between Portugal and the state of New Jersey are not only in the economic field. I would like to add that many things have been developed also in the cultural, academic, and diplomatic areas. First, with the signing of a protocol between the Instituto Camões and Department of Newark Public Schools, which was signed last year and which should be renewed now. And I would call the importance of reinforcing the teaching of Portuguese language here. It's the sixth world language. It's a language in expansion, and it's more and more a language, an international language of communication for economy, science, and culture. We hope that also in the near future, this protocol could be raised to a state level, following the example, and this we have a kind of pioneering example or a benchmark, which is the state of Massachusetts, where we have a protocol already between the Instituto Camões and the whole state. Newark is the second in this, but if this would globally expand to the whole state, this would be the second example in the United States of America of this new development and new cooperation as far as the presence of Portuguese language is concerned. Another aspect I would like to mention is the presence of Portuguese Language and Culture Center at Rutgers University.